Okay, we just wrapped up our marketing mastermind and we talked a lot about brand identity, and websites and SEO with AI, and a whole bunch of social media kind of strategies and how it all kind of ties together. But what's up, guys? My name is Randall Capuno. I'm the events chair for ACE NextGen.
How's it going, guys? My name is Calvin. I'm the membership chair of ACE NextGen.
We hope you enjoy the presentation.
Just to get things started, for myself, I started Vegas's first boba truck when I was 22. So I learned a lot about stuff like that. And then I ran the operations at the HyperX Esports Arena. That's where her and I were in marketing together and did social media. I ended up doing talent management. I was the lead talent manager for what is it called? Aftershock Media Group. And we were nominated at the Esports Awards for multiple years, and it was kind of cool. I oversaw about $1 million in brand sponsorship deals. I worked with a lot of content creators, professional esports players, and gamers and things like that. And now I've kind of combined all of my experience, and I created an event that we ran last April, and now we're kind of we have a plan to kind of keep growing that and probably taking it nationally. So we'll see how that goes. So you have a little bit of context, and let's kind of get into branding in general. So what is brand? There's kind of a spiel on strategy and overall, but to me, brand is your personality. Whether it's, I'm just gonna just skip through this. Being clear about who you are you, when you think about branding and when you think about marketing, are you branding yourself as a person, or are you branding your business as the actual business itself? What kind of story, what kind of connection are you making? Some companies actually don't really need that specific of a personal brand. When you have like your friend's uncle or something who's a plumber and he does good work, that's kind of his brand. It's an interpersonal thing. You know he does good work for a good price, and it's that connection. It's the story of how your brand transfers. And then there's consistency. So wherever your brand is showing up, there's so many different platforms, there's so many different ways. Even when you're here and you're talking to other people, how you have your one-liner, your pitch, when you explain yourself to people, is that consistent to your LinkedIn profile, to what your company says? Kind of a random thing that came up in my head, but Jasmine is kind of like our PR person with the $10 experience. And I'm always trying to convince her. I have this like colorful umbrella hat, and I'm like, I gotta wear it on the news so people kind of see it. I'm kind of, it's like the fun or whatever. And interesting enough, Calvin was someone that explained it to me as a Johnny Cupcakes. Is he has a fun, playful brand. If anyone knows the Johnny Cupcakes brand, it's very colorful and whatnot, but he also just wears kind of all black type of thing. So I do have this serious, I can have good conversations, meaningful conversations with people, but at the same time, I personally like to look through life like through the eyes of a child, and how can I have fun with what I'm doing, with whatever I'm doing, whether it's having fun here when I'm running around or at my events or the games that we curate for my other company, Blitz Experience. We do trivia and game shows. So I'm gonna save a little bit. That's actually kind of what I have for the first spiel. I'm gonna talk more about brand identity and some of what Jasmine's stuff is later. And then I have a special thing at the end, the X factor of what I see is kind of the big thing of what makes any brand successful. Whether you're a business, a content creator, I used to run the brand development program at Aftershock Media Group, and I worked with literally the hundreds of creators, and I would study what makes one brand great or one creator great over another. And I'm excited to talk about that X factor in a bit. So I'm gonna pass it over to Calvin. When you're thinking about consistency, there's social media, and there's also websites. And Calvin's really good at SEO, and he's done a little bit of research on what we're all kind of into right now, which is AI. Let's give it up for Calvin. Yeah.
Before we get to that, quick intro. Name's Calvin. I have a web development and SEO agency. And essentially we build and grow websites for small businesses. Okay, so my thing today is all about SEO because I realize, at least in my world, like that's a hot topic because AI is kind of changing the landscape of it. It's like people are like, well, is SEO even going to be a thing anymore now that AI is here and you could just ChatGPT something and it'll spit you out answers. So that is hopefully after I go through all my slides, give you guys a better idea and make you feel more hopeful about SEO and that it's still relevant and still that matters. Okay, so what is SEO? Quickly, it's pretty much this. And it looks very overwhelming, and it looks like a lot of things, and because it is. But now, even someone like me who does this for a living and helps businesses with it, I look at this and I'm just like, yes, it is a lot of things. But there are certain parts that matter more, or I would like to prioritize more. I would still say everything is important, but I prioritize a few things over others. And now that AI is here, we have this, and now we have this added another extra complexity. Can you guys see? Okay, cool. Another complexity layer on top of it. But if you just pretend to let's start from a blank slate for example, not for example, but together, and just make SEO simple. What SEO really is just how to make your website easier to find on the internet. So we'll go into the philosophy, my philosophy of SEO. And first, I want to start with this chart. This chart is by a company called NP Digital. If you're in a digital marketing space, there's a guy named Neil Patel. It's his agency. If you're in a digital marketing space, you know who he is. Runs one of the biggest agencies in the space. So what this chart shows is NP Digital asked 33 companies who leverage SEO, who have roughly 250,000 unique visitors a month. So these are rather larger companies, established companies who use SEO religiously and know what they're doing. On the left, we have track sales at a 7%. This is when you look through like your Google Analytics or your Google Search Console, and that's what they were able to pull, a conversion rate of 7%. And when asked to put a customer feedback form at the conversion point, maybe at the checkout or, usually at the checkout, the self-reported sales or conversion rate went up more than double. And what this essentially means is that at the bottom, I'll read this here if you can't see it. It says many organic channels, SEO, may not be the last touching point, may not be the last touch causing a conversion, but they are often the organic way a person finds out about a product or a company. So another way I like to think about it, it's like billboards. Billboards are still used today. We don't drive in our cars, look at a billboard and be like, oh, I'm gonna buy that. Like the conversion doesn't happen there. I like you guys to think about SEO the same way. Like we don't look up, find a blog article and be like, I'm buying right now. Like that blog article is to help build brand awareness, as Randall touched upon. And it's to let people know like, hey, your brand exists and this is what you do and what channel, what industry you're in. Okay. Everyone following so far?
Yeah.
Cool. Am I talking too fast? No. Cool. All right. Continue with my philosophy. These are the top 3 things I'm prioritizing. Not saying the other things aren't important, but when I look at SEO, I want to prioritize high quality content, technical SEO, and then 3, topical authority and brand signals. And then I'll go into each of them right now. High quality content, basically to summarize, make content that you want to read. Like if you write a piece of content, whether it's with AI or not, if you don't want to read it, your customers will not want to read it. Like don't do it just because you got to check off a box to be like, I wrote a blog post, or I optimized this paragraph for my service page. Like if you yourself in your gut, you're like, I'm not reading this, like rewrite it. And to me, like that is where I go when I say like high quality content. For optimizing UX stands for user experience. Pretty much if you don't want to read it, no, your customer's not going to read it. You want to make sure your visually, the experience of whether it's a blog post, a service page, a product page, it's just fun to read, or it's just not a block of text where it's like nobody, like people are just going to skim through and not read it. Next bullet is what Google call. It's a framework from Google. It's been around since SEO has been a thing. It's EEAT, which stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Essentially a framework you want to write your blog posts around. And then last we have search content. Not search content, search intent. There is only 4 search intents. There is informational, navigational, transactional, commercial. When you write a piece of content, blog post, article, make sure you have one of these search intents, and that whole piece just tailors to that one. For example, if I'm searching like, what is a DSLR camera? And the purpose of that search is informational. I don't want to pull up a blog post that's trying to sell me cameras. Like, I'm just gonna back out of that page because it's not delivering the value that I'm asking for. So when we write a blog piece, we wanna make sure your search intent is it falls into one of the categories.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is that possible to ask now?
Oh, yep.
Okay, so if you can go back to that slide. So what I hear is like quality over quantity, right? But at the same time, what I heard in the past as well is like that we should be writing like regular blogs to get the quantity and get
Right.
the amount out on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So is it kind of like what I'm thinking now, contradicting or wrong?
Oh no, that's still correct because you still want quantity, but at the same time, you don't want to just spam and just throw out content just to throw out content. You want to make sure you curate your pieces, whether it's a blog post or a service page or a product page. You want to be intentional about what you're writing. Because also, if with AI, AI does a good job of just like seeing if the piece is even valuable or not. Because if it doesn't really follow the framework, which I'll get into the last point of my slides, then it knows there's like no expertise behind it or a person behind it. So usually at the bottom of the blog post, you have your author, and it'll be like veteran or 15 years in this industry, and we've done this at XYZ, and like there's proof. And AI will read that and be like, hey, this piece or this website is written from a person that actually knows what they're talking about. So, hope that answered your question.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then regarding the search intent, so if I write a blog and it is informative, right? But then, and somebody searches for a keyword or for something, I don't know if that will show up on the informative or is it going to show up as transactional or anything. So I cannot, by writing the blog, I cannot, in a way, direct which category it falls under, can I?
You can.
Okay.
You can. Because if it's more informational, then you're answering what questions, like what and how questions. If it's like a tutorial, it's like steps. That's more informational. But if it's like a transactional intent, then you're probably that's probably a product page. Someone's already searching, like buy brown boots, and it's very intentional. They're ready to transact. So the transactional intent will probably be a product page or wherever your point of conversion is on your website.
So it's categorized by the internet or whatever itself, not by me, right?
It is it's categorized.
I mean, I cannot influence that in a way.
You influence by the way you're writing
The
it.
content.
Yeah, because like if you're writing information, if you're answering what and how questions, you wouldn't pull in. It wouldn't be like on a product page, and it'll be like, here, buy my thing. Because then, I mean, usually you have a call to action. You could have it on the bottom, but your bulk of your blog post or that article, you want to answer the question that the person came to answer for. Or
Right.
you just want to be strategic. If the blog post is a what or a how, you just want to answer that question.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so technical SEO, next thing I focus on is essentially if AI and Google crawls, since AI and Google just crawls their tech tools, they go through your code. Technical SEO, essentially all the code of your website, making sure it's semantically correct, the structure, the skeleton of it is correct, and we use schemas. And if you don't know what schemas are, schema.org is it's the website where it just teaches you everything of what schemas are. Essentially, it's code snippets that you'll input into your website that instead of having Google go to your website and look for the text and be like, okay, this paragraph, it's about this, and we'll interpret it, and we'll summarize this page. The schemas organizes it into a language or into a format that the crawler would read directly, so it doesn't need an extra step. So then once the crawler finds a schema or AI finds a schema within the code, it'll be like, okay, that's the information we need. It's all structured, organized already. And then that's also how rich snippets. If you ever Googled something and then you see a website, and then on the right under it, you'll see the pages within the website already tabbed out. That's what we call rich snippets, and that happens because of schemas. Next, Google has a free tool, PageSpeed, that does all the technical auditing for you. Throw your URL in there, make sure you get all the green lights. It also tells you exactly how to fix your website if you are getting a score that's below, I think, 80. It tells you exactly how to fix it. Check for 404 pages. 404 means it's broken. You click on something, it doesn't lead to anywhere. Those are terrible for SEO. Make sure your website does not have any of that. And if you have a page and you moved it, use a redirect. The status code for it is 301. And it basically tells Google, hey, this page didn't exist, but we moved it, and we're not going to penalize you because it redirected to a page that does exist. And then this is very specific. If you're a product business, if you're like on Shopify, for example, if you have variants, it might get a little technical, but feel free to ask me questions afterwards. I'll like deep dive heavy into it. If you say you're selling boots and it comes in 5 different colors, most likely how Shopify does it is you'll have one page and you'll have your variants, and then you'll live on that page, and it just swaps the variants, the pictures, the product descriptions, and whatnot. On the SEO side of things, if you don't use what we call canonical URLs, Google will see those 5 variants as the same page and penalize you, because if you have duplicate content, that's just telling Google like you're kind of spamming them. You have they look at your 5 boots and they're like, hey, you got 5 pages that are the same thing. So we're gonna use canonical URLs that be like, hey, they're one product, but they're not the same thing. They're 5 different pages. And then, lastly, just to summarize it all, make it easy for Google to crawl and AI to read. And then last, we have topical authority. This kind of summarizes the first point in a way, where it's essentially make content you want to read, your customers will want to read. Cover entire topic clusters, meaning if you are a plumber and you want to start writing blogs and doing SEO, you'll probably have your main keyword probably be like, say you're local, be like plumber in Las Vegas or plumber Las Vegas. And then from that keyword, you want to do keyword research and just kind of draw like a Venn diagram, spider web out of it. And you'll have a bunch of other ideas, like maybe how to fix, how to like DIY fix on your own, how to wear, I don't know, trying to think of ideas on the spot. Maybe different materials, different types of toilets, different mechanisms, every question possible that you can answer that would stem off of that one plumber keyword. Essentially, that's what that means. You want to dominate your industry in terms of what people are searching for. That leads to the second point, which is using internal links. So once you have your main blog post that leads to other blog posts, you want your other blog posts to link to each other. That way, that tells Google like, hey, this website's about plumbing. They answer these questions, and then it also links to these other pages. And then when all these pages kind of link to each other, it signals to Google, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. They have all this content. People are clicking through it. People are reading it. It's getting impressions, and that boosts you in your rankings. And then at the end, or last bullet, is follow the EAT format or EAT. Make sure you put your expertise in there. You kind of just show up on your website. So whoever's on the other side of the screen, just like, okay, this is a professional. They're not just pulling stuff out there behind and just pretending they know what they're talking about. And lastly, this is stuff you can do today. To wrap up, first thing, very, very important, if you're not ranking on Google, check your Google Search Console. You probably either you haven't submitted your sitemap or you don't even have a Google Search Console account set up. That's a free tool. What that is you're telling Google, hey, index my pages, I want to get ranked. Because just because you make a website doesn't mean you automatically get ranked. Google just doesn't know about it the moment you make a website. You have to submit it to Google and be like, hey, my website exists, start ranking me, start looking through my pages. That's you submitting it to the internet and be like, I exist. Keyword research, that you could do very easily. Just find out what you want to rank for, what do you do, answer all the questions that your customers have. You can even go to a free way I like to do is if you go on your search engine result page and there's always a section on Google that says like people also ask or people have also asked or something like that. Those are actual data points that people, like questions that people have asked. So you can take those, answer all those questions, and write blog posts for every single one of them. And that's a free way to do keyword research because those questions are being asked. That's where Google is pulling them from. If you're a local biz, very important to, you want to create local service pages, optimize it, and have unique content for each. So if you're a local business here and you're a service-based business, you want a page for Las Vegas, you want a page for Henderson, you want a page for North Las Vegas, you maybe even want a page for Boulder City, and just each page has its own unique content. So then you're ranking for multiple pages instead of just cramming it all on one page. And if you're a product-based business, just if you're familiar with like software businesses, they love doing this, where they have like versus page. So it'll be like your product versus a competitor, your product versus competitors, and they'll always have several of these pages. That way each page ranks for separate batches of keywords, because then each competitor has their own keywords, and you can fight for a spot there. And then lastly, this is on social media. Instagram just announced this, I think, beginning of last month, that Instagram has always been indexed by Google, but now what they've changed is they're letting users choose whether or not you want to index your content. So that's somewhere in the privacy settings. So if you have a public account and you make content to promote your business, I would say let Google, leave that setting on, let them index your stuff. And now just be more mindful of your captions and what you're saying and adding alt tags for your photos, because now when people search on Google, your videos could pop up and could come up. And I'm gonna hand it back to Randall to move on to social media.
Sweet. I have a question. Go for it.
Yeah.
Or if you sell a product, some people go on if it's Etsy, Depop, all of that. Are there certain things that you can take to help that page rank? Is it just going through all of that?
But if you're selling on Etsy,
Mm-hmm.
and then how do you make
Yeah.
your Etsy page rank?
Is it
Because you're competing with all the other Etsy named.
It's but then and when you're talking about product business, do you mean showing up in the shopping section of Google?
I mean, if you just
You're,
ranking higher on just Google search engine in general.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah. I would say for Etsy, like, I feel like those bigger platforms like Etsy's, Amazon's, Shopify, maybe not Shopify, but Etsy's, Amazon's, because they essentially they're almost their own search engine too. They have their way of ranking. I would say it probably is similar with wanting to rank on Google. You want to make sure your descriptions are there, keywords are there, high quality photos, reviews is your kind of standard product.
It's like, you know how sometimes you'll like type in, I don't know, like something, and then the main product that comes up will be, say, like an Amazon product as opposed to, you know, the vendor from their own website, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That is difficult because now you're competing with Amazon, and that's a tough game to win, to try to compete with.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because that's essentially like, hey, how do I rank higher than Amazon? That's a tough game.
Just pay attention. Yeah.
What's a good ranking? Or is it just like you want to see yours first?
First page is the best ranking because nobody goes past the second page, or even nobody goes past, I don't know, the first 10 results. I mean, I personally don't. Yes.
Question on the schema. So when you create like a website on Wix, does it automatically generate a schema, or do you have to do that manually? And then if you don't, are you at a significant disadvantage because all crawlers will first default to looking at a schema for structured data before
Yeah.
your web page?
Wix, I don't know exactly what schemas they include,
Yeah.
because I'm not familiar with that platform too well. So first I'd check what schemas they provide, and then fill in what they don't provide. And I say technical SEO wise, I haven't seen, I don't think any one piece. So there's pillars of SEO. There's on page, technical, or off page. And there's different pillars. I wouldn't say one would either make or break your SEO, but it's like if it helps, why not do it anyway? If like the way I look at it is like if the big companies are doing it, I should probably be doing it too. So schemas are just super helpful. It's like it shortcuts the crawlers from reading your information or to reading your information.
Follow up on EAT, how does Google score for authoritativeness and trustworthiness? Like what markers are they most looking for?
Yeah, trustworthiness, that'll probably be reviews. Any reviews, whether it's from Google Reviews or like a Trustpilot or another review type of website. Certifications, that's why you see some businesses will like kind of be like, hey, we just won this award, best whatever in the country. And then what was the other?
Authoritativeness, how are they scoring for that?
Authoritativeness, I believe that's strictly off text where you're just like, hey, I've been doing this for 15 years. And you just have an extensive amount of content in your website. So it's like if you're a new website, you're probably not gonna score too high for that because you're a fresh website. They're probably gonna just flag you and be like, hey, your website just started. We don't know if you're for real or not. And that's why also the life of a domain is also a big factor. Like if you if you bought your domain like 10 years ago, like that really helps.
Time. Interesting.
Yep.
On a macro level, as a small business, am I doomed when I'm competing against Amazon with like their SEO team? Is it like kind of impossible to rank it? You know what I mean?
It'd be impossible. For the way I look at it, is it will be impossible to rank for the shorter keywords, like very like broad. If you're just looking like brown shoes or just something like that's really broad. So the strategy there is to look for longer tail keywords. We call them long tail keywords. And instead of just like brown shoes, it would be more specific and be like, maybe it's an article like how to style brown shoes, boots with in the summer. And then that way you can rank with that angle. instead of just brown shoes.
Interesting. I actually see that on Amazon within their platform. Sometimes if I see brown shoes, it's funny because I just ignore it, but it's like brown leather, dark brown laces, da da da. You know what I mean? And it's like I just see the picture and I'm like, this is what I want. But the text and the body is like so much. It's extensive.
That's Amazon's
kind of
game.
like
I don't know anything about.
Yeah, no, you're.
Yeah, I don't know about ranking on
Just
Amazon.
curious.
But yeah, if you notice, I've noticed it too. They'll be like the longest title just to like stuff everything. Doesn't work the same way on Google, but apparently it works on Amazon that way.
They tell you to do that in a lot of like other product. Like take as many. If they allot you 100 characters or like whatever, like
Everything. Use it all. Yeah, wherever you can.
And then when you go return it, you're like, yeah, I'm here for the.
They double the thing. Sweet. Anyone have questions? We'll do. Cool. Go for it.
So to achieve that big framework, so would you recommend to use as many social media platforms as possible? So be on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of that to, get the authoritativeness or expertise out. Because for example, I don't use YouTube at all for my company.
Yep.
But would you recommend? Does it help?
If you have the bandwidth, because then I don't think that's a yes is an SEO thing, but for me, I think the bigger or the higher level to that is if you have the bandwidth to, yes, but if you don't, then it would hurt you to have like all channels, but then you have like 1, 2, 3 posts on each.
It's empty.
And then then there's like
I think push your audience. Your copy certainly marketing campaigns, even your kind of style and comment, you need to know your audience. And Facebook, older. So it's like where you put your content and what you want to sell. Who do you want to sell? You do better. Thank you. Then I don't feel bad not to be on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm not on all of it.
Cool. Okay, let's jump into
Social media.
We'll do some added Q&A toward the end. All right, so we'll make this quick. Social media that doesn't drain your soul. A lot of this was curated by Jasmine, and then I kind of like chopped it up a little bit and put a little bit of my verbiage in this. But what makes a good social media strategy is to be flexible, accessible, and to create impact. And we're gonna start on impact, but a good strategy is human, and it welcomes new people and speaks to something larger. So kind of something that you mentioned is being intentful, having intention in what you're putting and what channels you're going into, how you sell yourself and how you sell your brand, and who is your audience. I'm probably not going to market to Facebook when we're doing the HyperX esports arena. All the kids and stuff are on TikTok. A lot of us kind of know that general thing. We'll kind of leave it for questions. But flexibility is one that adapts and experiments. When you create a post, you can see kind of how much engagement, all your impressions and everything like that. When you can track your data and your posts and what style, what images, is it a video, does it have a specific music attached to it? You can compare that to all the different things that you are posting in your whole strategy. Think far ahead and not just posting to just post. Something that I like to do when we mention researching your niche, kind of a life hack that I've done, is that I actually, a long time ago, had an account that was just for memes if I'm being lazy or whatever. What I ended up doing is I deleted that account. I'm actually in a social media break right now, but something that I did when I have an account called Las Vegas Food Trucks, and I only followed food truck accounts. And it was cool because now when I scroll on that feed, all I see are other food truck vendors or food truck hacks, food truck memes, and that is a curated account for when I'm doing research on how other brands are doing it, how other food trucks are promoting themselves. And something that I like to do is imitate before I create. So if I see a food trucker do a specific trend and it's like within the last day it has all these engagements, I can put my own unique twist in Blitz Boba's form, my boba truck a long time ago. And now my local network is kind of, they don't see all of the food truck other content things. But we did something unique that got a whole bunch of impressions, and now people kind of want to check us out. So that's something that you can do now, and even start unfollowing all the useless junk if you want. You don't have to hop on every meme or trending audio. I think this is like the current social media manager's kind of playbook. There's all these trends and things that you see, and they kind of just copy paste all of that. And a lot of times it doesn't relate to what you're doing, to your product, your business, your service, your industry. So you kind of want to be mindful and kind of pick what you want. Keep it short and sweet. There's so much content nowadays. Something that I'll actually say when you asked quality over quantity, I think there's a guy here, or not here, but there's a popular marketer, his name's Gary Vee, and he grew up in the age where social media wasn't that popular yet, and his thing was to spam and create. But now I feel like that kind of hurts you. So I think when it comes to quality over quantity, you want to make a lot of quality content. So again, there's different things that you can do. You can batch content or whatever, but if you're making a whole bunch of content that just gets 100, 200 views, you're kind of suppressing your next post in that algorithm. I might assume it might be the same with SEO. I'm not the SEO expert, but you can have a whole bunch of pages that aren't getting any visibility, and I would assume maybe the authority or the trust means no one's really liking that type of content. So I would do the same thing in social media is when you focus on the quality, even one every other 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, if you have something that hits that 1,000, 10,000 views or whatever, you kind of trust the algorithm to move forward. And if anyone doesn't know about social media, it's all out there already, but it goes kind of by points. The more engagement, the more likes, the more comments, the more saves that it has, it pushes it out to more people. So if something doesn't do well, it stays hidden behind the scenes, and when it does do well, it pushes it out to all the organic pages and whatnot. Let's see what we got here. So, X Factor. Something I want to ask too is raise your hand if you are kind of in the early stages of your company. You kind of want to learn more about, you understand the idea of marketing, but you want to kind of grow or get a little bit better. Okay, very cool. Raise your hand if you're in the intermediate side where you've tested things, you've done a little bit here and there. You maybe don't call yourself an expert, but kind of trying to figure things out, trying to learn more tips. And then how many people is like kind of advanced? Maybe you get a lot of, you've been in the game for a while, you've done a whole bunch of content, but maybe trying to pull that nugget from this conversation or anything like that. Interesting. Some of you guys, I didn't see any hands raised. But, or kind of maybe shy or whatever, that's cool. Trying to get a good vibe. But my X factor to what I've seen in all the creators and all the businesses that specifically within branding, you need to stand out as a product or service that's absolutely irresistible or a unique personality. So how many people here, raise your hand if you've ever had Tacos El Gordo? Okay, very cool. Shu, I'm gonna ask you, what is Tacos El Gordo's brand?
Good tacos late night with a lot of different protein.
Very nice.
Vegas institution.
Who knows their logo? One person knows their logo. Interesting. Okay, cool. It's purpley. I would say kind of the same thing with ChatGPT, or I mean, we all kind of know Costco, but ChatGPT, how many people can really ideate what that logo is? But an irresistible product or service, like you said, it's amazing tacos, and you know where to go kind of late night. And I think that's even more powerful because how many taco places are in Las Vegas? But they kind of stick out. Whether you love them or not, you've heard of them. And when I think of a unique personality, I'll mention Pollitos Aguas in a second, but Taco Bell is not the top best tasting taco to ever exist, but they spend a lot on their brand, their marketing, the emotion that they sell. And one of my personal favorite is Liquid Death. They reinnovated a product that's been existing forever, literally, which is water. But they were one of the most recent companies to kind of tackle that industry. And now they made hundreds of millions of dollars, and they did that just off branding. So just a little more visuals to this. Tacos El Gordo, when you look up their Yelp account, the first thing that I see is Tacos El Gordo's hands down best tacos. You cannot convince me otherwise. Pollitos Aguas, some might not even know their name. But it's a younger gentleman. I think he's in high school, if not early college, and he makes a whole bunch of TikTok videos. And his product is kind of like a elotes. You bring your own bag. He's actually on Cactus. He has a little. I can see a little. Okay, cool. You see some of his content. He gets sometimes hundreds of thousands of views, and not jabbing, but the elotes and whatnot. It's the same recipes. There's no uniqueness to the actual product that he's selling. But people say a lot of his Yelp is similar to. I've seen his TikTok videos. It's the personality, it's the story, it's the person. It's a younger kid that's advocating for his entrepreneurship self, and his content's interesting. So it's like, I'm in Vegas, why not check him out? Why not support someone? And again, we don't know Tacos El Gordo's brand, but their brand is great. And when you think of Liquid Death, the water industry is healthy. We want to drink water to survive and cleanse ourselves and whatnot, but they literally went the death route, dark cans and skulls and all this stuff, and they were the festival kind of rockers type of thing, and they innovated kind of how people see water. A lot of people thought it was beer when you first try Liquid Death, when you see Liquid Death. So something that's like admirable with them is when you, especially there are so many industries that I feel like they're gonna exist forever. I know Jeno is a chiropractor. We have some people in real estate. And there's a lot of people who are chiropractors or in real estate. And how do you, when you think of the SEO, how do you tag yourself differently to say, what is my unique take in being a chiropractor? Is it the way that I do? Did I learn something from my ancestors and I studied 3 years in some random country and learned how they do it where there's no technology? Maybe that's a unique take. And same thing, you could kind of be creative in real estate as well. So I think that's, or you kind of go both. McDonald's has been around forever. They were one of the first brands to create the fast food, good burger, cheap type of concept. Spent a lot on their branding. Everyone knows the golden arches. Apple, you can't deny the product. The cool thing is BlackBerry was thriving right before them, and now where are they? They didn't innovate. They didn't stay above water and figure out how to be different. And I think one of the more modern ones is Dutch Bros. How many coffee shops do we know in Las Vegas? Yes?
I have a question.
Go for it.
About basically the Dutch Bros.
Yeah, hit it.
Okay. I feel like that's an example of like good branding, but a shitty product.
Interesting.
I don't understand how it's good. So how does a brand like that survive with such, and like there are probably other brands that folks can think of where you have a distinct brand identity, but like the product is not good.
That's fair.
Or like Taco Bell.
I think well, I've met a good amount of people who would say Taco Bell is like, I'm not eating junk food and I'm going to stay away from that. But obviously they still make money type of thing. And I would say the same thing for Dutch Bros is I have a good network of friends. I kid you not. It's like live and breathe, especially they moved out of Vegas. It has to be a trip every time they come back. And it's interesting. And honestly too, to your point, Dutch Bros is not going to beat your luxury coffee shop place. You know, if someone's going to use some real quality milk or real quality tea, something crafted, curated, specific to them. But for what their demographic is, kind of that fast casual, so a lot of people, they have a whole bunch of different combinations that maybe relate to just a quick, cheap drink. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of it is their personality, because you could get Red Bull and syrup and whatnot, but how many coffee shops give a new design sticker every month, or have their people placed outside? I'm gonna side note just a little bit. One thing I think they do really well here in Vegas is we're a very driving city. So the only drive-through concept works really well because no one really wants to get out of their car in this heat type of thing, and they add the personality aspect by putting people outside their venues, where how many other coffee shops do that? But definitely not for all, and I don't love them like that, but I gotta respect the hustle, you know what I mean? Yes?
What happened to the McDonald's clown and like the little, remember that?
Ronald McDonald?
Yeah, Ronald McDonald.
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly,
They pivoted their marketing and it's a different audience.
something that I might not be an expert on is their specific model, but I feel like when I see a lot of food chains kind of grow over the years, like Chipotle is one of my favorite ones in most recent history. Chipotle started off with real deep quality ingredients. They would cook their steak fresh, they would cook their chicken fresh. And what I've learned when I see acquisitions and companies sell multiple times, their recent CEO is if you guys don't know, their chicken is the only thing that's cooked fresh. They get their meat and they cook it like, I forgot the term, like sous vide or whatever, and sous vide, and their ingredients are less fresh. They're using cheaper quality ingredients, and it's to cut corners, increase cost, and da 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 da. So kind of McDonald's kind of did that, but for whatever reason, they're still number one for the most part.
But I think there was also a few decades ago, I don't know how many years ago, but the brand started to simplify, right? The logo. Like if you look at the Starbucks original logo, it was like so much detail and stuff, and so they simplified it as well. So I would think, they all went into that trend of simplifying and to be recognizable better and faster than just like all these details.
I think that's a trend that's kind of repeating right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people are simplifying their logos, even Sam's Club.
Yep.
It's easier to remember for
Yeah.
people. I think if you have to put a logo to something, because it's like super complicated. Who's gonna remember all those change levels?
Exactly.
It's interesting. We live in a world of noisy. So how do we make things go back and make things simplified is an interesting thing.
But Ronald McDonald, I would argue, from a marketing perspective, that it's nostalgic for a lot of people, right? Like,
That's true. That's true. And the nostalgia part, something that I don't know if I wouldn't say I'm an expert in this field, but when I was at the HyperX Esports Arena, we hired this high-level marketing CMO, and she was teaching. We were thinking about creating a mascot, and she was super against it because you have to be consistent about how you deliver this mascot, the emotion, the storytelling, create characters and stuff. How are they going to be included in the branding? And maybe I can't imagine how many different CEOs and marketing teams has worked with McDonald's where keeping the consistency of that mascot and the tone, the tonality. Something that I've really studied deeply is it really, truly takes unique individuals to carry something super far. And those are the people that really create the unique thing that end up being a special company or a special product. And then when you try to transfer that special, it doesn't translate the same always. Almost, it'll never be the same, actually. You know what I mean? A lot of people are thinking that with Apple. Minja, what are you saying? What are you thinking over there?
I was thinking a lot of the, I was going to echo some of the previous comments. Some of the brands I noticed, they're trying to minimalist, like simplifying it. And then they started to get rid of their original authenticity. And now you look at some of these logos, they look the same. And then I started to think about, because I'm in real estate, so I started to think about architecture. Kind of like that too. Where now you have a lot of the modern minimalist designs that kind of look the same, and then now people start to miss the European design, and in the past there's so much details on it, but now if you look at buildings, it's just a box.
Yeah, interesting.
Well, interior design is actually maximalist now. Like people are feeling that they're curating things.
Interesting.
There's a lot of different trends.
Interesting. Something that I learned, someone taught me in my talent manager thing. I don't know if I have a good example. Anyway, something that I took for the $10 experience and what I think it does well with is when social media was growing, there was Tumblr, there was MySpace, and those alone, there's so many words. And MySpace, we were like the first coders of the world. We can create things on our platforms and whatnot. But then a company like Twitter comes out, and I learned that limitation has its own power to it. And in a vice versa effect, like why wouldn't Tacos Are Roto are thriving? They have more locations. I heard the one on the Strip makes like a million a month or something. But why don't they add more meats or more flavors? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So how do you find the balance of what's different? You can, like, Foodie Fest used to be so popular 10 years ago, and it was the age of let's try all the different foods, all the unique foods that exist. And now $10 experience, I think, is doing well because you're limiting each item to a $10 experience. It's one flat thing. You can try kind of multiple things instead of spending $20, $30 on a big plate. You get full off one thing. Anyway, I'm pitching myself at this point. But, but anyway, we're pretty much in the questions section. I love that we already have this kind of open discussion panel thing going on. But if you have a specific question, the whole thing was meant to be short. So if you have something within your specific area, a question that maybe either of our perspectives can share, or someone else in the room can share, please fire away, if there's anything. And if not, then we go kind of into like the networking thing and kind of wrap up.
I think we,
Go for it.
I have a question, because like I think we've kind of talked about it where like there are, as businesses grow or you like end up figuring out kind of where your audience is, sometimes there is that sort of like rebrand and of what it is. How do you make it so that whether you create content to bring your audience with you, because like you know how like something, you know, like, and sometimes it's like it's clunky and it doesn't quite work like the way that HBO apparently paid McKinsey like millions of dollars to change to Max. Now they're HBO Max, and it was millions of dollars for that rebrand. But like, how do you kind of like bring people along with you?
That's a beautiful question. That's cool. The first thing that I think of is the music industry. So the question is kind of how you have your audience and maybe where your company is and or was at the time, and how do you grow alongside with them for your demographic, right? And I think there's actually two strategies to answer this question, because something like Taco Bell, their demographic is the younger generation and on a budget, and they've always been like the fun brand, but they're not growing with, you know, us or even McDonald's, you know what I mean? Like anyway, so you can stick to your brand, let's say like the Forever 21 type of thing. But when I think of growing with your demographic, I think of the music industry actually. At the time when I was in my younger days, there was the Little Pumps, and Lil Pump was a lot of hardcore, ratchet music type of thing. And then there's a guy named J. Cole, and Lil Pump he didn't have any substance to grow. So now he's kind of out of the game. No one's really paying attention. His audience is all in that rap, fun, be wild type of thing. J. Cole has been around, and even Bruno Mars or whatever has been around for such a long time. J. Cole used to talk about being broke and poor and growing up and trying to strive for success. And now when I listen to his music, it's, now I'm successful. How do I take this energy of being successful and still wanting to put good music? Or now I'm a father, and here's my perspective of being a father and having a daughter. So I followed him because his journey is consistent with mine. At the time, I was kind of growing up and I didn't know my direction, and I have this hustle. I want to put this energy somewhere, and now I am a father. Now I have a daughter, and I still listen to him. I followed him through his journey, you know what I mean? So I would say, like, depending on what do you mind if I ask what your business is?
No, it's like jewelry and stuff, but it's like,
Jewelry.
it's like, I feel like I also, you know, when I do markets, I get feedback from folks, and it's like, okay, now I'm paying attention to like the people who come to me, and like, and how do I, like, that sort of push and pull of like, you know, truly your own personality, but also like the people who gravitate to you.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna assume here, when it comes to something as personal as jewelry, do you want to grow with what you think your demographic is, and you want to think about your main source of demographic? Do you want to grow with them, and this is what I wore when I was 18, and now this is what I'm wearing when I'm like 65? Some of them might be 65 and wanting to feel like they were 18. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's kind of where is your demographic, and why do they like your jewelry specifically? You know what I mean? Is your jewelry different than your other competitors? Or is your jewelry different because people follow you and your story? You see what I'm saying? It's interesting. And
that is this,
yeah.
I don't know, like,
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah, you could be a kind of a Taco Bell or, you know, something else.
Yeah.
Any other curated questions of maybe is branding work for you in your business, a personal brand? Some people, Leanne sometimes ask me, do I even need to be on camera? Like my company is already, you know, out there and people know what my company is, but do I need a personal brand, or vice versa? Do I need an SEO thing? Some people should be on social media and not SEO, and vice versa. Should be on SEO and not social media.
Welcome back, and thanks for watching all of that. Hope something in there was valuable to you, whether it's one thing or a whole bunch of things. But feel free to check out our social medias and at Ace NextGen Vegas. My name is Randall Capuno. You can find me anywhere on there. And Calvin.
Calvin. And yeah.
Sick. Later. Till next time.